Alright, time for a Retroarch video. I've never really made a video about Retroarch before, or like a, guide to Retroarch and all that kind of stuff, because I'm nervous about making a video about something that I don't really fully understand, that I haven't mastered or had a ton of experience with, because people watching, they'll be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Why are we watching this long, boring video of this guy ranting about something he doesn't even fully understand? And with RetroArch, I've only kind of dabbled in it. I wouldn't call myself an expert or anything close. I'm kind of a novice. So I thought, who am I to make a RetroArch guide? There's better ones out there on YouTube. So if you come into this video thinking this is going to be a RetroArch guide from somebody who's like familiar with it and all that, nah, you don't want to watch this video. This is just basically somebody had asked me about my shader parameter settings for RetroArch in Pico Drive, the Genesis emulator within RetroArch. And I was like, yeah, I'll make a video showing you that. But just to preface this video, for anybody tuning in, this isn't going to be some kind of like short to the point, video guide on how to use RetroArch from some kind of expert. This is basically just going to be some regular dude who's kind of an amateur with RetroArch and hasn't tried a lot of stuff in it yet, but just kind of dabbled in it. And I'm just going to be rambling about like what I think about it, my thoughts on it, off the cuff. I don't script anything. You know, the video is not meant to be, really easily digestible in short 10 minutes, with slick production value or anything like that. And because I don't try to make money off YouTube, I don't monetize my channel. This isn't like a job or anything, I don't have like intros and talk about, follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all that bullshit. I don't ask for subscriptions, and I don't tell you to click the bell and notification. I don't care, this isn't a job. I'm just a dude, like you. Anyways, so let's just to preface that, before anybody complains, man, you talk too much, get to the point, video is too long. It's like, whatever, man. Go watch Simply Austin or something, if you want a quick, slick production 10-minute how-to guide or something. This is just going to be me talking about my thoughts, Anyways, with RetroArch, I'll try to cover some basics, but again, I'm not an expert. What do I know? But when you first get it, go through and just look at all the settings and tune what you can to your personal taste, and then to start getting your emulators, you go to Online Updater, Core Updater. That's where your emulators are. And there's your thumbnails. It's all pretty self-evident. You know what I mean? So for like Sega Genesis emulation, we'll talk about that for a second. I haven't even tried most of these. Like, I've never tried their Saturn emulators, and most of these I've never tried. So again, what do I know? But anyways, I just kind of dabbled in it for fun. I'll learn more as I go. But in my experience, I prefer this one, Pico Drive, for most of my Sega emulation. It does the Master System, the Mega Drive, the Sega CD, and the 32X, and it has a overclock option that I really, really enjoy. That helps a lot. Whereas this one doesn't do 32X. It has a Game Gear, but I don't really play Game Gear. And this one doesn't have the overclock option, so I actually prefer Pico Drive. There's some other ones that I haven't even tried. Anyways, for PlayStation, I'm using Beetle PSX hardware with the Vulkan driver instead of OpenGL driver. I guess this is the best, from what I've tried some things, and this is just the one I like. It works really, really well. In fact, it works so well that I don't use a standalone PlayStation 1 emulator anymore. I just use this one. Again, that's with the Vulkan driver. And for that, when I'm talking about drivers, if you go to Options, Drivers, down here, you'll see it says Video Drivers GL. This is like the most compatible with most emulators. Sometimes if you go to Vulkan, like for the PlayStation 1 emulator I was talking about, it's a little bit more efficient, but it can also break certain emulators like Sega CD and stuff like that. So anyways, OpenGL is what I use for most, but I'll use Vulkan for my PlayStation emulation. Anyways, to the point. I was asked about my shader parameters in my Genesis emulation, so let's go ahead and load up some of that Here we go. Let's load up a Genesis game. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud. Alright. And, well, first let me talk about that overclocking thing and why I like Pico Drive as my Genesis emulator of choice. So, F1's your options. To get to your options screen here, it's F1 in Retroarch. Have to get used to that because in a lot of emulators you hit like escape to bring up an options screen, but if you hit escape in Retroarch, it just closes the whole thing right at your desktop. So you got to get used to hitting F1. Anyways, so if you come down here to options, you'll see you have the 60K processor's overclock feature. Now I got it maxed out, but if you turn it off, it'll be more like the actual Genesis hardware. So let's turn it off, and then we're going to resume. Alright, now on actual Genesis, if you were to, let's say you're in this screen where you're looking at all the bikes you can select, if you move around too fast, listen to the music. It gets really, really laggy. So listen to the music as I move around real fast. See, it gets laggy. But with Pico Drive, you do have the overclock option. We'll max it out. And now listen as I switch around. Listen to the music now. See, it doesn't lag. So I like that. Anyways, that's why I like this emulator. But we're going to talk about my shader parameters because that's what was requested of me yesterday in a comment. I forget your name, buddy, the guy who asked that. Sorry about that. Forget who it was, but somebody did ask about that. But anyways, let's go ahead and pause here and go to shader parameters. Oh yeah, down here, shaders. So, you know, just video shaders enabled here. And then one shader pass because you can actually do more than one. And what I did is, like when I first started out, I would go to load shader preset just to get something as the groundwork, you know, before I fine-tuned it. And I believe, yeah, I went here, shaders GLSL, and then I went to CRT, cathode ray tube, and then CRT geometry, and I loaded that up as the groundwork, right? And then what I did is come down here to where it says shader parameters to fine-tune it. Now I don't remember what all the defaults were, but I'll just briefly cover, you know, what they're doing here, you know, to some extent. So target gamma, I'm at 2.20. If you lower this, watch everything gets kind of washed out looking. Okay. And then if you go too high, you know, of course everything is kind of crushed looking. You can adjust this to fine taste. You might have a monitor that has naturally poor gamma or whatever, and you're going to need to adjust this to your specifications of your monitor's gamma values. And then this is similar. It's kind of in reverse though, so if I go down lower, you know, it gets kind of crushed, and up higher it gets kind of washed out. I'm on 2.5 here. Geometry distance. You won't see this unless I toggle on the geometry thing first. So let me go down here and toggle it on. So it's either off or on. Off or on. See how it gets kind of bulbous? Alright, so while that's on, let's go ahead and look at geometry distance. It's on 3. Let's lower that down, and you can see what it does. It's kind of crazy. So put it back on my 3. Alright. And then down here, curvature radius. It's on 2. If I go down, you can see what that does. You could end up like you're playing on a sphere or something, you know. I actually like it on 2. Because if you go this way, it's the opposite or whatever. Anyways, just normal 2. That's fine for me. Anyways, the toggle off and on. The reason I have it toggled off in my settings is because a couple of reasons. One, I think it looks pretty good anyways. Flat screen effect kind of thing, you know. Like I actually had a Sony CRT that was a flat screen, you know, before they started, you know, going to like LCDs and all that, and it looks good, you know what I mean. You don't have to have this really curved looking effect, you know, if you don't want it. I mean, it's personal taste, you know. I'm not going to be like one is the right way and one's the wrong way, you know. Now if I'm making bezels right now, I just started experimenting yesterday with making my first Retroarch bezel, and if I use the curve one and I had my bezels alongside, it'll look like this. Well, let me turn a bezel on. Oh, the bezel is on. It just takes a minute to come up. Come on, bezel. There it is. Alright, see there's a lot of black gap in between the screen and the bezel. Now if I go to, but it looks good. I'm not saying it don't look good. It really does. But let's go do shader parameters again. And then we're gonna toggle it back off, and then resume. Alright, now see how there's less gap, less black in between the screen and the bezel? I mean, that's something, you know. Maybe you want, I don't know, it's going to be personal taste. But if I'm making the kind of bezels like I did in MAME, sometimes I would have both options. I would have the standard bezels on the sides like I had there, and then sometimes I would have that little plastic thing that wraps around the glass screen, and I would shrink the game screen just enough, keeping the aspect ratio true, but keeping the screen shrunk just enough so that it would fit inside that plastic wraparound ring bezel. And otherwise, if you didn't shrink the screen at all, it would just cut it off. Like, I'll show you an example. On-screen overlays. Where do they keep it? Is it effects? Yeah. Alright, see, this is a generic one. I didn't make this, it's just generic. Wait for it to come on. Should appear in a minute. No? Oh, I picked the wrong one. Alright, let's see. Great. I didn't prep for this video. Alright, let's see. If it's not that one, what is it? Borders? No, god dang it. Well, you know what? I'll just pull up an Orion's Angel one, because you guys are really familiar with him. He makes good stuff. But let's go to him. Screens. Alright, and we'll go to... He's got a Genesis one somewhere. Does it call it Master System? It's 2 satellites, Sega CD, Mark III. Master System screen. Alright, let's see. Alright. Wait, let me see. Was there more options? Yeah, overlay opacity and scale and all that. Okay, whatever. Alright, now see how this has he's got it worked out to where you've got that little plastic ring that goes around the screen. And I think that would look good when you have the geometry set to curved, you know. I'll show you again what I'm talking about. Parameters. This thing. So if you turn this on, so I had it off, so let's turn it on and resume. Yeah, the curvature would look good with this kind of thing. The only problem is I guess he might not have figured it out yet either, or he did, and I've just got his old bezel pack, and maybe I need to get an updated one from him. But notice some of the game screen gets cut off. See where it says my name, more, and I'm in like last place, like 15th place. See how it's getting cut off, where you can only see half of the letter M in my name. But if you turn off the bezel, let's go back to the one I made the other day. Road Rash 2. Alright, now you see my name, more, 15th place, nothing's getting cut off. So the problem with using those like plastic things that wrap around the glass screen is it'll cut off some of the game unless you find a way to shrink the game. Now, I'm not saying Orion's Angel doesn't know how to do that. He does, and I need to ask him about that because I'm new to Retroarch. So there's a way to do it. Like, he'll tell me, I'm sure. It's probably self-evident. It's probably just even in-game options. There's probably some sliders where you can adjust the horizontal and vertical screen position, do things like that to fix that. But anyways, I haven't bothered with that much. I've been using the full screen setup with just the standard bezels on the left and right. But see, you got this curvature you can do, or you can do without. I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. You know what I mean? Oh, what am I doing? Shaders. It's just personal taste, man. That's all it is. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and toggle it off and do it this way without the curvature. Alright, corner size. If you look at the top left corner, see I'm at 0.01. If you put all the way off, like, see it gets weird and dark. If you put it up 1, it brightens back up. Normal, there's slight curvature on the corner. If you go a little higher, a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. See all the curvature now? Again, personal taste, but I don't want to cut off a lot of the corner, you know, so I put it as low as I can. So all the way off, it's just strange looking. It's like covered in a mask. So you go up 1, boom, good enough. All right, moving on. Corner smoothness, like, watch if I go up 1, it brightens it. If I go down 1, it darkens it. If I go down some more, it darkens it too much. It's like, I don't think it's meant to work this way. So you have to, the lowest you can go is 180. If you go higher, and you keep going higher, it just kind of looks like more flat. But at 180, you get like this kind of slight, you probably can't even see it on your screen watching this video, but you get this slight shaded millimeter all the way around, like as if it's like glass that has a bezel on the glass at the very edge where it's like a millimeter, like so small. Anyways, probably don't show up in this video, but 180, that's what I like. Tilting the screen around, you know. Does it even work unless you play the game? Or maybe I have to turn this on first, the toggle. Okay, it does. So the tilt, horizontal tilt, see? That's pretty cool. You can't do that in MAME with HLSL settings. That's pretty cool, huh? I like that they have that option. I mean, I'm not using it, but it is cool. This one is cool. See, because in MAME, I wish they had this to be able to tilt it like this. Because in the arcade, the monitors are tilted like this away from you. So it actually looked more realistic in a sense. You know what I mean? To be able to tilt it a little, and you can make some pretty cool bezels like that. But whatever, you know, that's what these do. All right. Overscan, yeah. If you go down, look at the edge if you can. Look at the very edge, right where the screen ends and the black border starts on the left and right. Now watch, I'm going to go up one. Boom, see it's softer. Now I'm going to go back down. Boom, see it's sharp. So that's all that does. It softens up the edge. If you keep going, it'll start cutting off the game screen, so you don't want to keep going. But just at 100, it softens the edge. Same thing vertical, you know. Either a sharp edge or a soft edge, and if you keep going, it starts cutting off the game screen. So 100 flat's the good one for the soft edge. The dot mask. I mean, if you, on a, you know, CRT, if you you're like at an arcade or something, you get your eyeball right up on the glass and you stare like with your face right up pressed against the glass, you'll see this dot mask pattern. I don't know if it'll show up unless I resume the game, so let's see. Maybe you can see it. It just looks like a screen door effect. Now you can see that on an actual monitor, like in the arcade or whatever, or old TV. But in order to see that in real life on an old monitor, you have to put your face up against the glass pretty much to see it. When you're standing like 2 feet away from the screen or so, it doesn't actually show up really so much. And because this isn't real, this is artificially adding that screen door effect, that dot mask effect. That means it's always just on. You know, it doesn't like become more apparent as you get your face close to the screen and then kind of fade away into obscurity and glow out when you get your face farther away from the screen, like in real life on a real monitor. So for me, I'm not a big fan of it because of that. You know, it just looks like it messes up the screen. It's like it just adds a lot of muddy, dirty screen door effect everywhere. And like for me, I'm just not a fan of having that. You know what I mean? If you could lighten it up a lot, maybe. But so I turn it off. But you know what? If you want it, like it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying it's the right way and the wrong way, you know. But that's what it does. The sharpness. This is a pretty important setting. And I don't know if you'll be able to see. I'm like you need to focus on something. You know what I mean? Like let me think of something that you should focus on to see the effect at its most distinct. Let me think. I don't know. Anything you want to look at. For now, let's just look at where it says like 15th place in the bottom left, more 15th place. Now look at the 15, look at the 5 especially in 15th place. All right, here's off where everything's too sharp and grainy. Now I put it on 2, everything's really soft and blurry. And now I put it on 3 and you probably didn't even see a difference. So let me go back and forth a couple times. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. You probably can't even tell the difference, but I can tell the difference. You know, the problem is YouTube, you know, when you upload a video to YouTube, it compresses the crap out of it and like everything just kind of looks like crap. But for me right now, staring at my actual monitor in front of me, I can see a difference between 2 and 3, and what that difference is 2 is a little too blurry, 3 just makes it slightly more crisp. 1 is too crisp. It's like, ugh, you know? It's like, man, that's ugly. 1 is ugly. 2 is too blurry, and 3 is just right. 3 is the sweet spot. But personal taste, again, personal taste, you know, maybe you want the really blurry 2. It's not that blurry, but still. I think 3 is the sweet spot, you know? But, again, personal taste, man. Figure out which one you like best. Maybe some people like 2 better than 3, but I like 3. Scan line, you know what that is. I mean, I'm on 0.4. If you bring it down, you see the scan lines get really thick, you know, and dark. And then you go up, you know, and they get faint, and they kind of fade away, you know, until they're pretty much gone. And I like them at 40. To me, that looks appropriate, like realistic, but, you know, you can see what you like. Luminance boost, you know, this adds the glow. You probably won't notice it unless I resume the game. Let's see, I push some glow into the image now. See how glowy it is? And then now I'm going to go back in and reduce that back down. Luminance boost back down to off. And now resume the game. More normal. It's up to you. Maybe you want the luminance, maybe you don't. It's totally up to you. Alright? Totally up to you. I don't use it. Alright, and then the last one was interlacing. I swear, for whatever reason, I don't see a difference, and that's just probably because of my ignorance. There's something I don't understand about what this setting is doing. I mean, I understand what interlacing is. Oh, you know what? Probably because I don't have the curvature toggle when I try it on and off. Huh. I don't see a difference, man. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe when it's in motion. I don't know. I just have it on the standard one. Whatever. Alright. So those are my shader parameters using the CRT geometry shader, and these are the parameters I fine-tune. You know, if you like them, there they are. If you don't like them, use something else. Oh, and this linear versus nearest and don't care and all that, I like linear, but whatever. And then the shader scale, I find 3 times to be the one that I prefer. So that's it. That does it for my CRT geometry custom parameters that I use in Retroarch. What else can we talk about real quick so this video don't go too long? Just my overall experience with Retroarch. You know, like, obviously, like I said, if you don't know anything about Retroarch, and go watch a guide video by somebody who's put together a very good guide video for it. Like I said, Simply Austin, you know, that's kind of what he does. He puts little guide videos up for emulators, and he does a good job with them. So you can watch that first. I don't need to tell you like how to download, you know, stuff or whatever. But anyways, like let's look at some PlayStation emulation. Now, if I want to do PlayStation emulation, like I said, I go to the drivers and go to the video driver, and I put on Vulkan. Actually, before I do that, let me close the content so there ain't no glitches or anything. Because Retroarch is a little bit unstable at times, I've noticed. Like, for instance, when you change the driver to Vulkan here, you pretty much have to quit Retroarch and start it up again to make that change take effect. Alright, so check. Yep. Let's see. Whoops, where am I going? Drivers, video. Yep, now it's on Vulkan. Okay, so let's look at a little bit of PlayStation 1 emulation really quick. Just something quick. It's probably going to still have my overlays, isn't it? So maybe I should try to turn those off first, because I'm going to try to do widescreen for PlayStation 1. Disabled. And to make sure it really is, I'm going to quit. Start it up again, make sure it still says disabled. Alright. Overlay. Disabled. Good. Okay. And then I'm going to go to Gran Turismo now that we've got Vulkan driver going. Go ahead and load this up. And there we go. And DualShock is enabled, sticks are on. I like to wiggle them around all the way in full circles so that they get automatically calibrated. Alright. And you'll notice I've got this old 4x3 game set for a widescreen hack, and it actually works well and it looks good. But a lot of games don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'll show you what I mean. If you go to the options menu for this Beetle PSX hardware PlayStation 1 emulator, and you go to options, there's an option on here for widescreen mode hack, on or off. Some PlayStation 1 games, it just doesn't work out so good. You try to put it on, and it doesn't do it right. You know what I mean? And you'll know right away. You'll be like, oh, that didn't work. But for some, it does a good job. And in Gran Turismo 1, it actually does a very good job. So that the aspect ratio looks good, and it fills up the whole screen fine. It's good. But anyways, real quick, I guess I'll go through my PlayStation 1 emulator settings in case anybody cares. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because that's not what this video is about. But you could just pause the video and look at my settings. Oh, adaptive smoothing. That's a really good one. I like that. Super sampling makes everything so blurry. I'll cover that in a minute. But it can look really good for some games. I'll cover that in a minute. Anti-Aliasing, you know, a lot of this will depend on your hardware specifications if you can handle this stuff. Internal resolution I max out, and it looks great for some games, and for other games you'd rather go with the super sampling. But these things seem to cancel each other out. If I enable super sampling, it ignores what I've got on my internal resolution thing. It just ignores it. does its own thing. So you have to decide whether you want the blurry super sampling look or you want the boosted internal resolution, really crisp look. Anyways, and there's the rest of these things. Like I said, you can pause it and look at these if you want to. PGXP, that's the thing that makes it look less wavy as the road goes by, you know. Perspective correct texturing, you have to enable this, and then these two settings above are in relation to that. You can cache the vertex computations, and then you can decide if it's just memory or memory plus CPU. But if you put memory plus CPU, it breaks the effect in a lot of games. Like in Gran Turismo 1, if you try to do memory plus CPU, the little dots that represent where you are on the track map, they start flying all over the screen, and it's weird, so you get glitches. So I do memory only. Blah, 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 blah. Widescreen mode hack on. These are just basic little settings down here. Like I said, you can pause the video and copy them if you like my settings or something. But I'm not going to stop to cover every little thing, because this video could go on for a billion years. Analog self-calibration is really cool, like I said, to get accurate whatever you're using your analog controller, so the controls are good. But when you have this on, what you want to do is once you get going in the game, you want to wiggle your sticks in full circles all the way around so that it calibrates them. I like to do that. Not sure if you have to, but I find doing that seems to satisfy my OCD. Anyways, so let's go into the game, and what I'm going to do is show you the difference between the new super sampling feature on and off versus the increased internal resolution. Right now we're using increased internal resolution. So I'm just going to go into a session here. Alright. I'm not actually going to be trying to drive good, because I'm going to be going in and out of menus to show you the visual difference with a certain setting on and off, so I'm not going to be paying attention to trying to drive good. I don't think this car is very balanced anyways. This is like probably a 910 horsepower Supra that has terrible turbo lag and really bad low RPM torque. It's kind of a weird monster. Alright, so this is what it looks like with 16 times internal resolution. Notice the picture is really sharp and everything. Alright, so now if I go to super sampling, which is kind of a new feature, it wasn't there in older versions. I turn that on and then resume. It's going to go black while it reloads. The screen's going to black out for a second and come back. Now look at it. See how blurry it is? Now this can be good, and the other one can be good. It just depends on what you're looking for. This blurry super sampler is actually probably more accurate to, this is probably more accurate. Look at how I lose all my torque when I brake. But this is more accurate to a PlayStation 1 screen in a sense, but it's still too blurry. You know, what you'd want is this, but sharper. And there's no really way to get that right now. Now the other way, where you go to super sampling off, and you just use the increased internal GPU resolution, it's not going to be blurry, but it's really sharp. But the thing with this is you see more imperfections, more like issues where polygons don't meet perfectly, or where the artists who made the objects originally, you know, maybe knew it was going to be low resolution, so they didn't give something a lot of detail. So you see imperfections this way more, and maybe some people won't like that and they prefer the blurry mode where it kind of blurs out the imperfections. But I prefer it this way. I prefer the sharpness, you know. The blurry mode's just too blurry. But in some games that blurry looks better. I'm not sure, but I think in Metal Gear Solid it looks better with the super sampling on. But anyways, try them both to see which one you like, but we're not sitting here trying to talk about that all day. In some of these emulators, like Nintendo 64 emulation, I actually don't like the emulator core that comes with Retroarch. I don't. Mupen 64, I've tried a bunch of them. I'm telling you, I've tried a bunch of them, and they got issues. Like, at least to my experience, like Rogue Squadron doesn't even work right. Some of these games have some slowdown, and so really when I want to play an N64 game, I actually prefer to use a standalone emulator. Like I use the standalone Mupen 64 Plus with a graphical user interface GUI, because I don't like command prompt and all that. This is a January 26, 2019 version. But let's go ahead and open something like Rogue Squadron. See, it actually works in the standalone emulator, whereas in Retroarch, it just isn't working out so good. So Retroarch isn't the end-all be-all for everything. Like, I still use a standalone MAME emulator, but I really do prefer PlayStation emulation and old Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo emulation in Retroarch. And I haven't tried all the emulators. I haven't tried Saturn. I haven't tried Dreamcast. I haven't tried a lot of things. I haven't even tried, like, I don't know if they have a PlayStation 2 in there. I've got my own standalone PlayStation 2 emulator. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff you would want to, like, I would want to experiment with in RetroArch before I come out and say, oh, I'm ready to make a guide video and explain everything about RetroArch. You know, I'm totally, like I said, a white belt amateur when it comes to RetroArch. I know a little bit about what I know based on tinkering around, but I don't know enough yet, clearly. But see, this is a standalone N64 emulator that runs Rogue Squadron perfectly, and this game is like the hardest game to run perfectly out of all N64 games. You know what I'm saying? If you can run this game perfectly, then you've got a good N64 emulator.
Good shooting. Those quad guns pack a punch.
Those quad guns pack a punch.
The blue ones are civilians. Let's check our fire.
Anyways, we're not going to sit here and watch me play Rogue Squadron. So let's go ahead and quit this game. Alright. Long story short, that's my RetroArch rant for today. It's me just rambling for like half an hour about whatever. You know what I mean? If you are watching the video and you're like, hey, where do you get your ROMs and stuff? I mean, well, Emu Paradise is down, technically, but if you Google something along the lines of, let's see, Emu Paradise workaround script. I'm not going to go through this, but see these videos? You can watch these videos and they'll teach you how to download a script that's for your browser that will allow you to use Emu Paradise links. I've never done it because I'm so paranoid about, like, you know, I don't know if I could trust these scripts, or I don't trust executables. Like, I don't know. I do a lot of online banking, so I don't want to get hacked or anything. So I'm skeptical, you know, but that doesn't mean I've never heard anybody complain. Don't listen to me. I'm sure it's safe. But I'm just one of those weird paranoid people. Here's what I do for ROMs and ISOs. I got a couple of things I do. Like, here's a site I really like for ISOs. Like, if I'm getting CDs, because they seem to have good dumps of, like, good ISOs that just work with a lot of things, including RetroArch. But if you go to, well, here, let me put it this way. https://the-i.eu/public/rom/. Here's all their emulators or consoles. You pick one and you can download from this site. I like this site. It doesn't even have ads and pop-ups. Just don't abuse it. Don't overuse it, because then this site will get taken down like Emu Paradise too. Also, like, you know, I like to use ROM Hustler. So if you're like, hey, I need help getting ROMs or whatever, you know, and Emu Paradise is down, ROM Hustler always works. You know, you can come in here and say, okay, I'm gonna get a Nintendo ROM or something. You know, maybe they got Super Mario Bros. Do they have that? Okay, that one is ESA protected. They don't have, because Nintendo, you know, man, Nintendo's the one that shut down Emu Paradise, so they won't have that. But they'll have other stuff. You know, like, okay, what if I want Mega Man 2? Hey, they got that one. Here's where you click to download in between in this little crack. Don't click the ads. Obviously, you click in the middle, and then it's going to do another screen where in the middle will give you a countdown timer. When the timer's done, then you click, you get your ROM. Alright, so that's how that works. Cool ROM. Let's go to Cool ROM. That's another place you can use, but I'll show you how to use it effectively without clicking on the wrong things. Let's say, I don't know, let's go to Cool ROM. Let's see if they got Super Mario or whatever. Whatever. Super Mario. I don't care. Super Mario World. Yeah, Nintendo took it down here. Man, Nintendo. Oh my God, Nintendo don't. Anyways, Nintendo is so evil. I wonder if the I has it. Let me see if I has Nintendo games. I probably shouldn't be putting this on YouTube. The I. Let's go, because Nintendo's probably watching. You know. Shigeru Miyamoto is watching, you know, spying right now. Okay, let's go to Super NES. Come on. The eye's a little slower. I think it's like more of a small setup, you know, like maybe just a single dude running it. So it's slower, but you know, it's effective. Doesn't have all the ads. All right, what are we gonna look for? Super Mario. So let's go down to that. RS. Man, so many ROMs. I mean, you can get torrents of every old NES, Super NES gen. You can use torrents to get all of it in one. I mean, that's what most people do. But I'm just curious. So let's go. Super Mario. Hurry up. Here we go. Super Mario. Let's go Super Mario World. And click it, and let's see what happens. Yep, they got it. See the eye. That's what I'm telling you. This is the good site right here. But anyways, if you were to use Cool ROM for a game that Nintendo didn't block, let's say you were trying to get Echo the Dolphin or something, yeah. Here's how you download from Cool ROM. You come in, you ignore everything. Don't click any of their bullcrap. Don't click any of it. It's all aggressive pop-ups and malware and bullcrap. See this really tiny thing at the very bottom they don't want you to notice? It says alternative download link with ads and timer. That's what you click. Don't click nothing else. Then you're going to get a 15-second timer, and then you'll get your link safe and sound. Okay, so that's how you use Cool ROM. Be careful if you go use Cool ROM, but it can work. Just got to know what you're doing. All right, so anyways, that's how you get ROMs. So in case for anybody who would ask, and am I going to upload my Retroarch to my Google Drive so everybody can just download it? Because I get people ask questions like that. Hey, why don't you just upload the whole thing? Where my B drive? Retroarch. Where is it? Here it is. Properties. Oh god, it's going to take a million years to calculate. While it's calculating, let me talk about something else. I just experimented making a bezel for Retroarch yesterday, my first one. I might make more. I probably will. But don't expect like a big flood of bezel art making like every day, like a new bezel video, because I'm really busy these days, like crazy busy. I don't get a lot of chance to make. Like, okay, there it is, 7 gigabytes. That's big, man. I don't think I should be. And it's got all my ROMs and things. I would get in trouble if I uploaded this, maybe, but I don't know. I might think about it, but it wouldn't be. I wouldn't talk about it in a video. So I don't know. No, I can't. I can't be doing that. I'd be getting too many requests. I don't know. But y'all know how to set it up and download this stuff. I mean, whatever. You're good. All right. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Shoot. Oh, I was talking about being busy lately and why I can't make all these videos and stuff. Well, I kind of got burned out on doing the MAME stuff. Like, I was running out of ideas. It's like, I already did everything I wanted to do. But also, like, just being busy. Like, I was starting to experiment with digital art. Like, see, let me just click a video here. Like, this is... Sorry. I didn't know I had music on in my headphones in the background while I was doing this. But I've been doing stuff like this, like working on digital art, you know. It's not very good, but what where's my last one? Let's see. This is gonna be loud too. Oh no, it's muted. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm doing. I'm getting pretty good at it. I'm getting decent. I'm getting better, anyways. I'm learning, you know. But I made a few mistakes. You know, I'm like, oh god, I made a mistake. So, anyways, I do this kind of stuff in my free time just to get better at digital art skills. And I got a long ways to go, man. I tell you, I got a long ways to go before I get where I'm confident in my artistic skills. But that's going to translate to better bezels in the future. So that's what I've been working on in my spare time, but instead of making bezels. Anyways, I'm going to end this video. It's gone on pretty long, so any questions, you can leave it in the comment section. No, I'm not going to be giving away ROMs and stuff. You know, I showed you how to go get your own. No, I'm not going to give you my Retroarch build. You saw all my settings. I don't really know what I'm talking about when it comes to Retroarch. Anyways, yeah, I still got a lot to learn and experiment with. And what if anybody go, hey, what was that Nintendo 64 emulator you had there? Let me open the file location. It is this Mupen 64 Plus Glide N64 Windows 64. All right, that's a mouthful. How big is this thing? Maybe I could put this on my Google Drive for people to just use my emulator and then put their own ROMs with it. Let's see how big it is. That's it? Oh, that's small. I'll put that. To do a favor, I like to give away freebies and goodies when I can, whenever I make a video. I'll upload my Mupen 64 Plus, the one that was running Rogue Squadron, and then I guess you just put it somewhere and then you run the executable and you know, get your ROMs and then point it to your ROM and you're probably good to go. I don't, it's not like one of these ones where it needs to have an installation package, I don't think, where it adds registry items and all these things and uses your documents folder for settings and saves. It might, I don't know. If it has a problem, just download the standard one maybe and then like overwrite which one. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so I'll throw that on my Google Drive and y'all can kind of throw it around and see what you might be able to get out of it if anybody wants to use that. So that's it for this video. Maybe I'll make some more bezels. I might make an Echo the Dolphin bezel tonight, or Comic Zone or something. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see if I got time. All right, have a good one.